just hold him?
Mokadlo
you
babes.
Mokadlo babes. You collect your man, babes.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome back to our channel. Today we are with our beautiful friends, Pelole Mwedi.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Please check out the channel. We'll link it on our description box. Yeah, guys, this is part 2 of a conversation we've been having, premarital counseling. Part 1 is in their channel.
Yes.
Please check it out. From our view, premarital counseling is important because it gives you, you get guidance from professional people. And it's very imperative when you go into marriage. Like we said in the first video, it's not about the wedding, no guys. It's about the marriage. How you're going to live with that person. Do you like that person?
Understand that person.
Do you guys have the same values, you know? So it's very, thank you baby. Very attentive husband, guys. Up top.
Continue with the importance of premarital counseling. There are certain things that we need to know in advance, and that is having shared vision or learning about having a shared vision. You know, there's a scripture that I really like, I think it's in Amos 3, that how can two people walk together unless they agree on the direction? So just like in marriage, you're two people coming together. Yes, you may have individual visions within the marriage, but ultimately you need to have collective visions that take you somewhere. One of the things that I remember before we got married and how I sort of wanted just say to you that I want to get married to you is that I said I want to build with you.
Yes.
Then how can we then build if we're not agreeing first of all that we're going to build? And what are we going to build? So sharing a vision is very important.
I think it's also important to get into marriage to grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because guys, acquire those things together.
Yeah.
Similar somewhere a mansion. You know, so it's important for us to grow together. Where be it financially, be it even personally, because we evolved as we are in this journey, and we want to know more about marriages, how other couples are living. You know, this is why we are together. We want to learn more, and it also grows us because when we get home we discuss, oh guys, baby, does it resonate with you? You know,
For me, it helps to strengthen the communication skills that you have between each other. So you know, I've learned to communicate better with time. For the past 2 years, the longer we've been married, and I can safely say I didn't understand most of the things before. I thought I did, but I found out what
I don't know you are in
For that, I appreciate it because I wouldn't know what I know now if I didn't go through what I did before. So that's why it's important that you learn that in that premarital stage.
I like that important thing. It helps you learn to communicate, because one of the things that I found really important about premarital counseling, and I still find it so important about premarital counseling, is that it provides you with the skills and the ways to cope with potential conflict and to de-escalate conflict, right? Because communication, or poor communication or misunderstood communication can cause a lot of conflict between two people. And I found that premarital counseling empowered us to be able to better deal with potential conflicts, to prepare ourselves. Okay, these are the things that Leshi is likely to get upset about. She's a bit snappier than usual, you know what I mean? And then how do I then de-escalate it? Do I say to my partner, maybe take a nap, babes, or go take a long shower or a long bubble bath, you know what I mean, to get a second yes. So it was really helpful in that regard.
To add on to that, we have different personalities, you know. So when we get this premarital counseling, we open up and we know how best to deal with someone. You don't know how that day was, but you want to put them in a situation whereby you guys can now communicate and warm up to you now.
But we are also in a country where there's a lot of abuse that happens because, and it's not necessarily always because people are unable to deal with conflict. Sometimes it's because get like inali you
have to accept me.
Exactly. And there's a lot of aggression and there's a lot of violence. Premarital counseling doesn't necessarily fix that. Right? Sometimes it can help you realize that maybe this is not the relationship that is best for me, and helps you realize that there's other and better relationships out there that you can embark on and you can prosper in and you can be safer in.
I think it's important when you realize these things, these negative aspects that you know you can't live without. Guys, it's okay. It's okay to just say I can't and I don't want to live like this. It's, I think, just be honest with yourself. You don't want to live miserable and knowing what I could have just said, you know what, I don't want to continue with this.
It's best if you establish a relationship healthy with yourself first before you can actually embark on a relationship. It's better to understand and fix that with you first before you can actually bring in the second person into your life.
And even if you don't, for example, fix yourself before, that's the whole reason for premarital counseling, so you can see where you may need fixing and you can decide how you guys are going to go about it, and also the realization that this fixing may happen as you two go along the journey.
Whatever happened in your past relationships, that's not me. Nah, some men don't come to destroy what you have. That's why you have that wall around you.
It also happens both ways, because I know personally for me, there was a time where I said to Leshi, I was finding out to love her completely and vulnerably because of past hurts. And this is a whole different relationship. And just the same way that I jumped into a relationship and gave of myself, I should also give of myself. And we're here to build a life together. She's here to help me. We're here to help each other. We'll both have our own brokenness.
When you come into marriage, you understand that I come with my own baggage, my partner comes with their own baggage, right? And we are coming in not to break each other. So we are finding ways, I guess, bring it back to premarital counseling. It's a way of finding ways, right, to help each other on our own. Because even as we become one, there are our individual journeys, right? There are past hurts that I have to heal from that they may not be able to be there for me for, right? There's things that he has to heal from that I may not be able to help him through. But I have to know how to create a conducive environment in our home, right, for both of our healings to happen. And he has to know how to produce a conducive environment while being those healing journeys.
I think one thing for me, I had to understand I'm not just marrying him. I'm marrying his family. You know what, baby? I need to establish a good relationship with your parents because these people I don't know. You are the one bringing me to your family, and they don't know me. So they're always made me realize that I have to actually open up and give myself to them. As much as I'm open with my family, guys, this is how we do things. Let me learn. During counseling, we were told that in-laws can make or break your marriage. My husband, I'm going to speak for you, I'm going to defend you because you don't know these people. And immediately I like this person, I'm going to stick with this person. Or just stand with an open mind, because whatever has been happening in the family, you were not there. So do not be part of these cliques or the howana. Just be neutral, because at the end of the day, the only person who will be there for you. You understand?
I wanted her to really gel with everyone so that she's not making an effort or somehow or anything, because you will never know what a person is thinking. So that's why I encouraged her to stay positive and be open-minded about the people that she's going to meet for the first time, the people she's going to know over time, and understand what what they are really about. And Lena, I use the same concept.
As regards relating with our families, our respective families, one of the things that Miles Monroe has said about marriage is that this idea that it's two families coming together is not biblical. What is actually happening is there's a third family that is forming, right? The reason I refer to biblical is because the foundation of our marriage is Christian value. And he said that's why the Bible says a man shall leave his mother and father, cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one. And my husband always emphasizes this thing to me, that unless there is the leaving, the cleaving cannot happen, right? But because of our cultural background, you know, the coming together of two families, you know what I mean? And that's another spiritual level to it that I think we're not conscious of. There's a spiritual connection there. There's a foundational shift, right? It's a foundational shift spiritually because somebody's coming out of being under a certain protection and a certain leadership to now forming their own leadership, right, and their own family and their own independence. And so what needs to happen is that relationship needs to be guarded more than all the other relationships. A friend of mine says to me all the time, you know, marriage is the only relationship in the Bible where God says it is until death. Till death do us part. Your relationship with your child is not until death do you part. The importance there for us that we learned through premarital counseling was the setting of boundaries within the marriage relationship. Another thing for me that I found really, really important in premarital counseling is financial planning. Because the boundaries that you're setting are not just external from other people, right, from Dizala, from family, but also internally. How do we plan our finances? We were both aware before we came into the marriage that, you know what, family is the smallest unit of business. It's a partnership. There has to be a certain way in which you agree on your money values. I came into the marriage, for example, I mean, I was a spender. I was just like, if the money's there, let's use it. You know, I'd walk into a store, I would find a quote for 500 kula, let's buy it. And then they would be like, let's go home and think about it. I'm like, we're going home to think about it, then coming back to buy the quote. It doesn't make sense to me. Another thing also under the financial planning umbrella that a lot of people use emotions to kind of deliberate on and negotiate on is the marital regime. I saw there was a local celebrity couple who were changing their marital regime, and people were like, yeah, how about you know what I mean?
They're not together anymore.
Marital regime is just, for me, it comes from that idea that marriage is the smallest business unit. And so you and your partner have to decide what we are going to do with this business. Does it work for our business model or for our partnership model for us to be married in community or for us to be married out? You know? If I operate a high-risk company, or for example, or a high-risk business, for example, does it make sense for me to expose whatever it is that we acquire together to the risk that I am taking? Things like that. If I am coming from a background where I have acquired a lot of property previously or before marriage, do I want to step into my marriage with this property? You know, and that's a conversation that people hardly ever have in our country, right? Are you going to sign a prenup? It doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means that we are going to start afresh together, and it's okay. Because sometimes my property from previously is tied to other people. I third of I co-own it with my 3 sisters and my 9 cousins or whatever, right? Is it practical for me to even say I'm going to enter into marriage and not sign a prenup in that sense?
I budget everything to the T. So not a spender, guys. For my husband to notice what if you don't really need it, then don't buy it. So everything that we've had, we have saved towards it. So I didn't want a situation whereby even towards our marriage, I was just like, no, baby, that's not going to happen. We're going to save no matter what.
During the premarital counseling, we were taught about the 5 love languages. I'm a lover myself. She knows it. She knows it. Babulele. So I was introduced to the 5 love languages. It has helped me to discover a lot of things that I didn't know. We discovered a few things about each other. I learned personally, I have to understand my own love language first. So that it can be easy for me to communicate that with her What is my love language?
Putting me on the spot.
Yes.
Quality time.
Besides that, there's one that stands out.
Acts of service.
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Don't worry, you have 3 more guesses.
Affirmation. Baby, can you read it? So
2 more guesses. That's a thought.
Ma, I'm a giver.
Oh no, guys, hey, yeah, I forgot.
I'm a giver.
Initially, I didn't care for gifts. Maybe it's because we had less. So I felt so bad and I didn't want anything. Got hard like a watching out of our dating. One thing is worse than 5.
That is one of the things, Telongore, I think people should really take to consideration and understand themselves first before they can actually introduce that to the next person. You need to understand your partners as well.
Yeah.
Because if you
Very
understand your own and you don't understand your partner,
What are you communicating?
what are you bringing?
Yeah.
You know, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Can that small business unit work?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to really understand her love language. I understood over time, Hori, I need to listen to her more instead of just assuming that, okay, this is what works for her. I learned, Hori, she wants me to affirm
Yeah.
a lot. I can tell her once and then, oh baby, I love you. Okay.
It's not enough.
She wants to know why I love her, or why is it that I tell her that I love her.
Because every day is different.
Yes, it is. So I need to affirm that to her every day.
Got it.
And sometimes I would say, no man. But why? Because I had to ask myself a lot.
Yeah.
Or why is it that she wants me to tell her all the time?
Yeah.
Why is it that she demands that I affirm to her?
This sounds really
Why?
I think it all goes down to upbringing. My dad will always say, baby girl, I love you. Baby girl, good night, I love you. Or good morning, I love you. You understand? So it's just the way I was raised.
Wow.
So I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when you talk about words of affirmation, because for me it's not necessarily that I love you every day, it's the you are beautiful. I need to hear that daily. But I grew up not being the prettiest person in the room, and I didn't realize how important it was to me until I realized that how the affirmation that I wasn't had affected my security. How being told, oh, you're not beautiful, oh, your teeth are like this, oh, your hair is always like this, oh, you're so skinny. How all of that added up to me being insecure. And then when I realized that, I started wanting to hear that I am beautiful. So when I came into my marriage, I was like, the one thing I want to always hear from my husband is that I am beautiful. I want him to affirm that. My love language, funny enough, is actually receiving gifts. I want to know that you thought of me when you saw something and you brought it, even if it's like a button. One of the things that I've fallen in love with that my husband does is that sometimes when I'm asleep and he's up at night, he'll write me a letter. And I'll wake up and I'll find a letter, next to me in the morning. And I'm just like, and I don't even care what the letter says. I'm just like, I've got a letter, I've got a letter. And his love language, as you can tell, is touch.
That's number 2, baby.
That's number 2.
Nayaka, that was number 5 of the 5.
Yeah.
Number Mukoto.
Yeah.
I have warmed up to, because I never used to like to be touched.
Yeah.
Touch. Even now, like there's times when I'm just like, please, I need my space.
Yeah.
But there's moments when I'm like, you know what? Actually, just touch the guy's knee. Just, rub his face a little. Let him feel loved.
No, sometimes I wanna cuddle.
Yeah.
Like I wanna be cuddled.
Yes. Oh wow.
I know she. Yes.
Baby, can I get
She
cuddled?
knows.
Okay.
No, like
I cuddle you. I cuddle you sometimes.
She loves the cuddles.
Uh-huh.
Like a lot. So there are days where I'll come, just feeling like horrible,
Very down.
very
Yeah.
very down. So in order to calm me down that time, I just want to be cuddled. I recently experienced that
cool.
this year.
Yeah.
I experienced that,
And he loves it.
and trust me when I say this, it's amazing.
For him, it's just to calming him down, because he comes from work very stressed. Again,
yes, and sometimes I'll just.
And you guys, you just hold him like
Mokadlo,
you
guys.
Mokadlo, babes. You collect your man, babes.
Cuddling for me, I experienced that this year. It actually calms me down. Like all the stress.
You want to get cuddled?
I want to be a little
All
spoon,
that.
baby. I wanna.
It might sound weird and all that for other guys,
It sounds
but hey,
great, man.
that's marriage.
I'm sure
It's
you
marriage.
definitely.
Real men get cuddled.
Yes.
But I understand the struggle, guys. For a balance, but hey, my shoulder, hey, my white. I wait for him to sleep, and then he can say, "Hey, guys, it's been real."
Girl, I would do it for 5 minutes and then just be like, baby, you're fine
Guys.
the one that I do is like where he's sleeping and facing away and then like holding him that way. So my arm is not under him,
love that.
but this one is like,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
It's still actually
yes.
It's so cuddly.
Yes.
actually love that.
We need to identify the differences that we
Yes.
both have
Yes.
in terms of communicating our love languages to
Yes.
each other. Because if we don't identify the differences that are there, then we won't work as a unit.
Understanding your partner's love language, the way I came to understand yours, because I like touch, and so every time I touch her, I'm showing her that I love you, and then therefore she must feel like that I'm loving her.
Yeah.
But in learning her love language, I'm like, oh my gosh, so hers is gifts.
This is
Yeah.
where I went wrong.
Yeah. So surprising her once in a while
Yeah.
with things like you're saying
Flowers.
glitters
Oh
or
my
flowers.
God, flowers.
It makes her
Love
day.
your heady baby.
So-
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that this marriage, this partnership, is a two-way street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to the differences you mentioned,
Yeah.
leads me to compatibility or choice. So when you talk about compatibility,
Yeah.
that for me in the beginning, if I'm compatible with this person, we have to agree on A, B, C through to Z. That for me was compatibility, and that meant that this is the person I'm meant to be with. If you tick all the boxes, then we're 100%.
Yeah.
But the differences actually showed me that this is where the magic is. And to borrow from magnetism, opposites attract. I found that that's how my wife and I are. She's the fire, she's and I'm more of the water.
The water, the earth,
Calm in
maybe.
the
Yeah.
storm.
So it's like the fire and the earth, or the
Yeah.
fire and the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
And
you're
then-
the earth.
am I the earth?
Yeah.
My perception of compatibility changed. Our counselors actually was one time they told us, they were like observing us, and they're like, you two are actually perfect for each other. And initially I was kind of like, I was happy because I wanted to hear that. I'm like, yeah, because hey, I'm here, I want to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, make the right choice. Yeah.
But it made me think, oh my word, we complement each other.
Yes.
And in those gaps where we have differences that are so far apart, in those differences we choose each other. There's certain things that I don't agree with her on, or certain things that she doesn't agree with me on. And for us to bridge that gap, there has to be an acceptance, there has to be a choice. And one of the things that I learned through premarital counseling, and in fact even more from doing life with you, is that love is a choice.
Yeah.
It's a daily choice.
An
You talked
everyday
about
choice.
every day you want to hear I love you.
Yeah.
Every day you want to hear you're beautiful. By
Yeah.
the way, you are beautiful.
Thank you, baby.
Give affection.
Compatibility is not the ultimate,
ultimate thing, yeah.
but the choices that you make
Yeah.
gives us that richness and that acceptance, and bridges those gaps where we are so different,
Yeah.
but we are still together, we're still one, we still love each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. Today was very insightful. So we spoke about navigating through our in-laws, financial planning, yes, how important it is,
Yes.
and then
Our evolving 5 love languages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Building compatibility
Yes.
through choice.
okay guys, that's all we have for you.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much for watching. Please just like, comment, subscribe.
And be sure to check out their page.
Yes, Pelule Wedi. Bye.